All right, I think it's actually official. It crossed my mind today, and I had to come out here and tell you guys that the 2023 recession has officially been canceled. It never came, and we're not going to see it. The 2023 recession is over, and I think the charts are absolutely set up for an incredible bull run moving forward. And I think we saw the beginnings of it. This incredible momentum that we saw coming off of the recent lows. Yes, it was an oversold condition, but there's a lot more to it. I'm going to break it down for you guys. Bond yields, they're falling. Oil is falling. China's growth was unexpectedly upgraded by the IMF. They basically said, you know what? China, there's been a lot of fear around their economy. Things were very sluggish and slow, and they weren't coming back quickly from their COVID shutdowns. But the IMF came out and said that they're forecasting an increase of 5.4% for their economy in Q4 of 2023. Not bad. And all of this is potentially setting up for what a lot of people are coming back to saying, that the U.S. economy is perhaps in a perfect Goldilocks environment where things are starting to point together for stocks to go up. And we're seeing that. Extreme FOMO entered the market as we have burst out of all of the moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, everything has sort of shot through the roof of typical resistance, coming back alive. And I'm going to take you guys into the SPY. I'm going to take you guys into AMD. We're going to look at DraftKings. A lot of the stocks look the same. They've all got these bullish flags on them. And I'm going to look at the SPY with you. But let me just tell you, we know, I talked about it at the beginning of this week. We've got the Fed talking. We've had an incredible run up on a lot of our favorite stocks. But tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, he's going to be talking. And if he thinks that this economy is too red hot, all he has to do is to throw a hawkish wrench into the grinding gears of Wall Street to bring it to a halt. Now, personally, I don't think he can stop this economy, and he knows it. I think that he's hoping that his rate hikes will work. But at the moment, everything is overbought, but nobody's selling. We're going to watch and see the reaction to whatever the Fed says. But even if we do see a cool off, and even if we do see a sell-off, I don't know that the markets are going to change. I don't think my view of the markets are going to change. I think we're going to finish up this year strong, and we're going to see some of our favorite stocks at near or their all-time highs. I think we're going to see Apple back at $190. I think we're going to see Tesla back at $250. I think we're going to see DraftKings up at $40 before this year is up. I think we're going to see AMD up at $129. And so we've got to be very careful. Now, it's not time for you just necessarily pile into these stocks, because a lot of them have run up 20%, 10 to 20% in a handful of days. The first 4 days of November were incredible, but as I've said before, the first 4 days of November are typically the strongest. Well, tomorrow we're going to be going on to the 5th day and the 6th day, and things might slow up. When you look at the charts with me here in just a minute, you're going to see that we've pushed from the bottom all the way to the top of the range, and now we're up against resistance. I'm not sure that we're going to find the momentum to break through it and go another 10% higher, but I think we're going to chop it up. I'm going to show that to you guys in the charts. It's going to be a great show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hitting the like. This is the Stocks with Josh show. If you need help trading these choppy markets and getting a sense of market direction, then you got to hit that subscribe button. Hey, on the note of the meet and greet that we've scheduled in LA, that's an entirely sold out event. I'm super excited to meet everybody in LA that's chosen to come out. I think we're going to have a great time together, and I'm looking forward to sharing some insights on the market with you guys. Okay, I'm going to start off, and I just want to point out, after studying the AMD chart, I want to remind you guys that a couple weeks back we talked about an inverse head and shoulders. When we broke and made a lower low, it threw me off of the perspective that we were dealing with an inverse head and shoulders, but I didn't shift quickly enough to realize that it was a bull flag. And so as soon as we began to move up, and you go back in history, you see that this stock has done exactly this. And this is obviously a moment where AMD is going to rip higher. Now, I do see that we're going to likely back test, because we've moved up near 20% in just a handful of days, which is an incredible move. I am still expecting a back test to the 108, 109 region. but I don't think it's going to stay there very long. And I think it could be setting up for an opportunity to rebuy into this, and it could even slingshot much, much higher going into November and December. I think the move ultimately is going to take us to $133 at bare minimum. And I want you to be aware that there are two significant events that are going to continue to push this stock higher that are going into this month. The first one is going to be NVIDIA's earnings. All the way up to November 22nd, we're going to see the opportunity for AMD to continue to drive up just the same way we've seen NVIDIA drive up. Now, AMD's earnings were not great, but the one area or category of the business that was highly profitable was the area that focused on AI. And that's exactly what the market is believing, that they have hit bottom and that they're going to refocus, and that the coming quarters are going to see nothing but growth. The same benefit of the doubt that had been given to NVIDIA has finally been given to AMD. If NVIDIA does well and NVIDIA skyrockets, it's going to pull AMD up with it, so don't be betting against AMD. The second significant event that AMD has ahead of it, which could cause it to be a big up day, would be its December 6th, its new chip event. So keep those on your calendar. November 22nd, NVIDIA's earnings, and December 6th, big chip day. The last time that it moved up this much, it took 5 weeks to do what it's done in just the last 3 days. And so there obviously was a massive change of character in the AMD stock that came out of nowhere, but it's important that we just assess the situation. Don't get too bearish, don't get too bullish, but right now AMD has a lot of opportunity to the upside. Okay, here's what I want you guys to see in the SPY, and it's probably the most important thing that I can show you guys. You guys know that back in July, I started talking to you about the fact that we had a bearish head and shoulders pattern that was forming. Now, we have come to the completion of that move. So the exact amount that we would have gone down once that technical was confirmed, we officially went down when the markets were down at 410, 411, and now we've come way back up and we have formed a new pattern, which again is that bull flag pattern, but we're up against resistance. And after the significant move that we've had, I really would be surprised if we pushed higher immediately. I could see that we would chop up this area only to eventually push above it and confirm the move. Now, here's the important thing I want you guys to understand. This bull flag, even though it's been impressive in its formation, it's not confirmed until it takes out the most recent swing high. And for the SPY, that would be a move and close above $438. And I also want to point out that it's also kind of forming a potential inverse head and shoulders. So between the bullish flag and a potential inverse head and shoulders, the fact is it's looking very, very bullish right now. And if we were to come all the way back to 420, which is very possible, I see a neckline at 438. So if we then go back to 438 and we close above it, we have confirmed two extremely bullish signals on the SPY, an inverse head and shoulders and a bull flag. And so this is something that's definitely going to potentially lead to a massive breakout ahead. I wanted you guys to see it with your own eyes in the chart. Now, the other thing that I want to remind you guys is, as I said, November, typically the first 4 days are the strongest, and the overall expected move for the month of November on average is just under 4%. Now, we are over 4% in the first 4 days of November, which simply means this to me. I showed you guys the SPY. I'm going to show you guys a couple other stocks, but I'm going to tell you that we're up against resistance after this monumental move. And so I think that we should expect that we're going to chop it up before we go higher, which means that we could come back 2%. Like I said on the SPY, get to 420, only to then go back up and confirm a bigger move. That would make the most sense to me right now. And I would say the time frame for that, and this is just a guess, would largely be from Thanksgiving on to December, when the new momentum and the new pushing us through that 438 and higher could possibly come to bear. Put that on your timeline. Let's see how that plays out. All right, quick station break. If you guys need better trade tools, there is an app called the Moomoo app, and they are a zero cost to trade platform. They're available in the US, Australia, and Canada. And if you want to get some free stock, you can open and fund an account. Click on the link in the top pinned comment, and you can open and fund an account for the Moomoo app, where you will receive up to 16 free stock. Check out the offer and the details for yourself. There's also in there a link for the Webull app, which will enable you to get more free stock. But what I like about Webull is that they allow you to do fractional share purchases, which means if you can't afford on your current trading platform to get a single share of Apple because it's too expensive, you can buy $10 worth of that stock on Webull every single day. Over the course of time, you can slowly accumulate. Click on the link for Webull as well to get their offer. Okay, let's talk about DraftKings. And here's the number one point I want to give you guys for DraftKings today. It was held down. The price was suppressed for a long time, taking away a lot of investors' hope that somehow the best days for DraftKings were behind it. But I'm going to tell you guys, don't underestimate the move that DraftKings can make. I spent some time looking in the chart, and when DraftKings wants to go on a move, I've seen that it has multiple months in the past where in a single month, DraftKings went up 100%. And so right now we had an incredible run-up move and we're sitting around 24%. And I do expect it to cool off and come back and test support. But I think the very next move for DraftKings, like a lot of other stocks, having this bull flag pattern that it's broken out of, the next move is for it to go much, much higher. And so just be aware that we could come back to the 30, 31 area, previously was resistance. That would become support. And if you see volume start to drive into DraftKings, understand that the next step is for it to shoot up to $40. Okay, the last chart I want to show you guys is a chart of the QQQ. It's the same thing, incredible bull flag pattern, confirmation of a breakout, but here's the ultimate confirmation that we need. We need to take out the previous swing high. The previous swing high was made on October 12th, not too long ago, and it was a high of $373.74, so roughly $374. And so right now, you can see that the QQQs came up to roughly $372.70, almost pushed above it, but that's the confirmation that's needed. Don't be surprised if tomorrow, after the Fed speaks, thing begins to sell off. Right now, there's a lot of FOMO, and this thing is not over because a lot of people are looking further down the road, and they're realizing that all of these chart patterns are just barely breaking out today. And so, yes, there's going to come a limit to how high they can go because there are ceilings. There's mathematical ceilings that when they hit those, the algorithm's going to begin to take profit because that's the responsible thing to do. But after that's done, you're going to see even more buying flooding in from people that have been on the sidelines who are waiting to pick up even the smallest pullback. And so I think the QQQ chart is bullish, but I think expect a back test, but then watch that back test potentially move with as much strength up as we just saw in the first 4 days of November. Again, my target for that is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It could be that this time around, 2022, we never really got the Santa Claus rally that some people were hoping for. We got a little bit of it that bled into January. But I think that this year is the true setup. These markets have had the best possible setup for a Santa Claus rally than I've ever seen before. Now, obviously we got to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. We got to use good trade discipline, like I've been talking to you about on this channel. But I wanted you guys to have a little bit of perspective of what the charts are saying. I hope this was helpful to you today. Throw me a heart, say hi in the comment. We use the heart emoji on this page because it takes courage to face these markets and to, as I've said, kick down the front doors, the golden doors of Wall Street, and get your hands on the American dream that I think is available for every single person who will step up and pursue investing in these markets. But the new analogy that I've been dwelling on recently is don't have FOMO. There's a constant train that's heading into Wall Street, into Cash City. One comes by every minute, every 5 minutes of the day. So if you've missed one, don't try to chase it down the tracks to jump on the back side of it because you're going to get yourself tore up. Just wait until the next train pulls in and then you can get on board and you can head out and make plenty of money. Hope that was helpful to you guys again. Thank you for subscribing. Peace and blessings. We'll talk to you soon.